180-degree look at our youth. Let's see how they start on one end and come out on the other. Purpose 180 Foundation, of course, piloted by Mr. Nigel Jules, is exactly that. Welcome to Positive Profiles. I'm Kimberly Ski. And Nigel Jules, welcome to Positive Profiles.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Tell me a little bit about how Purpose 180 Foundation started.
If I had to give a slight background, I grew up without a father. So I know the challenges of being a young man, growing, not having the understanding of what it is to be or move from being a boy to a man. And with the need for having more positive male mentors, role models in the lives of the young men, I saw the need to establish something that would create a safe space, a zone where these boys can now have the opportunity to have life skills and life values being shared and modeled to them, where they now have the opportunity to ask questions, to interact with men, and to learn in a safe environment.
You talk about safe environments and safe spaces. A lot of the times we have young people who are often in a fright or flight mode. In your estimation, does this inhibit their ability to thrive and grow?
Oh, definitely. I believe we are the byproduct of what we take in. Now, many times when we think about environment, we think of physical spaces, but we also see the mind as an environment. And basically what you consume is what you reproduce. What you sow is what you reap. So having the ability to understand that what we take in is what we reproduce, we recognize that a lot of the young men in society, no, we're talking about young men right now, but people in general, but focusing on young men, a lot of what they take in is negative. A lot of what the music they listen to, the movies they watch, the games they play online and video games has a lot of violence, has a lot of negativity. So their mind space, and we talk a lot lately about mental health, right, has been so consumed with negative, the only responses they can automatically birth out would be either fight or flight.
Hence the reason why Purpose 180 Foundation is there. What age ranges do you cater to, and what are some of the programs that you have been working on through the years?
Okay, so September 5th this year would have made 10 years that we would have been in existence and functioning, working in the community and the schools. We focus on, well, originally it was teenagers, 13 to 19, and then lately we've gone from 11 to 17. We establish programs based on the intake of the boys. So even though we would have structure in place in terms of execution topics, the delivery system is really based on the boys coming into the program. So for example, if this year our intake of boys are more football prone, we will make it more a football program. If they are more intellectually based, not much outside activities happening in their lives, then like this year we had Go Play, which is focused on using play and experiential learning as the modus operandi for functioning within the program. So each program has a different title, and it's really based on the boys coming into the program. So we do a little background, find out the needs of the boys, because we're very specific to serving them at their individual needs.
So we have almost a tailor-made kind of environment to suit the needs of the cadre of individuals. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you also have a varying cadre of emotions and mm-hmm. Different mentalities. How do you treat to that?
So I'll put it this way. I remember in 2016, I would have done a missionary trip to Nicaragua. And going to Nicaragua, they do not speak English. I had to learn the language of the Nicaraguans. So how we approach it is learning the language of the individual person that we're looking to serve. So as you come into the program, we start with the parents. We find out what is the reason for having them have their sons come to the program. Then as we begin to unravel the program, we begin to have conversations with the individual boys, recognizing where the needs are, and based on those needs, we would then now approach serving them to fulfill that need.
Have you ever had a difficult case? or maybe difficult cases because you're
Definitely. Almost every case is difficult. And one thing I find that is lacking in society is intentionality. When we meet a stumbling block, we butt a wall, many times we retreat. We throw our hands in the air, we surrender, we give up. However, I've recognized, I give one story, this young man, his name is Moses, right? And he came into one of our summer programs. And for the first couple of days in the program, he would not speak. So what we opted to do was to have a conversation with him to begin identifying what his desires are, what he likes in life, what he likes to do. And after about 3 weeks, he then began to open up. And he had a heart and a passion for animals. So everything from there now, once we are having a conversation with him, it leads into an animal conversation. So we got to find out that he has fish at home. And just going into the language that he spoke, he just started to share and to share and to share. Now, as it relates to his challenges, what we then did is use the language of farming and animal rearing to then talk to how would you deal with this situation if you're dealing with your animals. Okay, let's remove the animals and put your situation. How do you think you should deal with? So we use the language that they speak to then begin to have them self-discover, because that's a major part of our process. We do not just have persons come in with certified facilitators and skilled professionals come in and just teach. What we do is we try to let them see for themselves or discover how these tools, strategies, this information can now begin to apply to their life. So they self-discover processes and we add value to it. So even though we are faced with many, many challenges working with multiple personalities within one program, with the mentors who come on board or facilitators who come on board, we now try to change the narrative of the delivery system. So thereby, even though yes, you are a troublesome person, you have challenges, whatever the case may be, we are now approaching it from the place where we allow you to self-discover. The only restriction we give the boys in the program, do not be abusive. Can't use negative language. But beyond that, you are free to share how you feel. What causes you to respond or act the way that you act. And then from there, we are able to serve them in their point of need.
Nigel, why do you do the program Purpose 180 Foundation?
I believe that the young people are definitely our future. And what we pour in today is what we will reap in the next 10 years, the next 15 years. I remember growing up seeing other young persons having a father figure, having someone that they can run and play games with and interact with. And I know what it is not to have that in my life. Then with the rise in crime and you're hearing young men this and young men that, recognizing that due to the lack of fathers being present in the home, the void is there. And whoever fills that void becomes the influence in the life. So why not create an environment where men avail themselves to be a positive role model to then help alleviate a lot of the conversation that's happening in the media, happening in the news, stating that young men are this, but now having stories that, hey, young men are actually pursuing something positive.
What gives you the greatest joy?
Seeing all what we have poured in over the previous years come to fruition. We have young men who come out of our program who came in challenged and leave having great success stories. We have one young man, he came into the program, he was an introvert, his mother couldn't get him to go outside, he was very reserved, laid back, and he joined, after coming out of our program, he joined the fire cadets. And every award that you can receive in fire cadets, he received. Yeah, we have one young man, again being challenged, leaving secondary school, coming to university, and leaving university with a bachelor's in science. Yeah, so my greatest joy is seeing all the values that we pour into young men taking root, and they now become pillars in society. That's my greatest joy.
Nigel Jules, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for your contribution and your steadfast commitment to Purpose 180 Foundation. You've been watching Positive Profiles. I'm Kimberly Skeet.